skill that is related to listening, all right? So the last classes, the last sessions, we were talking about the reading skill, right? Yes? Can you remember something about the reading skill?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, can you tell me something about it? What can you remember about how to teach reading skills?
There are 3 stages.
Yes. We're gonna have 3 stages in order to have a lesson, yeah?
There are pre-reading, while reading, post-reading.
Excellent, very good. Pre-reading, while reading, post-reading. Excellent, that's it. Any other idea?
Mm,
What else? What else?
You gave us activities.
Yes. I gave you some ideas, no? Some ideas, some activities to develop in each stage, no? In each stage, and the pre,
Yes.
the while, and the pause, all right? So if we talk about the pre-listening activities, what was it involved? What do you have to do? What do you have to do as a teacher in the the pre-reading stage?
Establishing or reading purpose.
Yes. Establish the reading purpose. What else? There was another important aspect.
Yes, activating and building background knowledge.
Exactly. To activate, no, or build the background knowledge, or what was the other name of the background knowledge?
Schemata.
Yes, the schemata. That's it. Very good. So we are going to activate or build the schema or schemata. No, schemata is the plural, no? Schema is the singular noun. So what are we going to do now is something similar, yeah? But now we are going to activate your background knowledge or your schemata related to listening skill. So remember that we are going to pass now to the this second skill. No, it doesn't have to be in the order. No, this is not the order. Yeah, but this is the second that we are talking about. Yeah. So now we are going to activate this schemata by doing a special activity related to a game. So everybody please go to Kahoot, yeah? So we are going to play this little game in order to activate your schemata, all right? So I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share with you the code. Tell me you can watch the code. Yeah, can you watch it? Yes?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, everybody?
Yeah, we start.
Yeah, please enter to Kahoot and you have to enter this number, this code, 9794894. So you're gonna have some questions related to the listening skill. Please, everybody, hurry up, enter to Kahoot, enter to Kahoot and put this code, this number, this pin. This is a game pin. Everybody. I have one, Flower, Gabriel. Yes, do. Come on, hurry up. Enter to Kahoot in Google. Now you write Kahoot, and then you have a link where it says enter a game pin. Aha, Majita. All right, very good, Majita. This activity is in order to activate your schemata, your previous knowledge, what you already know about it. Don't worry, you don't have some knowledge or you don't know something about it. No, we are going to analyze it later, okay? It's just to prove how much you know about this topic. Okay, another flower. Flor in Spanish, flower in English. All right, that's good, that's good. Canela, all right, canela. No more, no more, please, come on, come on. Johncito, very good, Johncito. Juanca, all right, very good, Juanca. Isaac, that's good. Maria, very good, very good. Yeah, 2 minutes to start. Yeah, remember, you can enter here in www.kahoot.it and then you put a code. Yeah, you have here a section where it says enter the game pin. You put this code, and you enter to this game. All right, yeah, 1 minute and we start. Aha, very good. Munai, all right, very good. I have just 10 players. What about the others?
I am Isaac, teacher.
Okay, that's good. Very good, Isaac. Okay, BCB. All right, very good, BCB. All right, 1 minute, 1 minute. I'm going to start. All right, so we are going to start. Nobody else? Okay, very good, Juana, Greece, all right, Isaac. All right, so we're going to start. So the other people who are not here in this game, don't worry, it's just to activate the schemata. It's this like the intro of the class, of the session, yeah, don't worry. So we are going to start, right? So remember, we are going to play this game related to listening, all right? So we are going to start. Let's start. Ready? Everybody ready? Listening skills. Yeah? This is the topic of today, listening. Listening is a skill like any other ability we learn. True or false? Okay, this is true, right? So listening is another skill that we have. Now we have 4 macro skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So we have these 4 macro skills. Now this is the general skills. So these skills help us, no, in order to learn a language, all right? It's like a tool, that we can fine tune. Okay, let's pass to the other one. Please, everybody answers. Remember, you have to answer. Just 5 people answer this. Carlos, Juanca, and Greece. Let's pass to the other. Be ready to answer. Everybody, be ready to answer. Just 8 questions, no more. When someone is talking, unless we focus, we don't really hear the message, just the sound. False or true?
Teacher, teacher,
Yes. Oh,
I
tell me.
cannot hear. Oh, yeah, yeah. So I couldn't answer because I didn't see any questions, but now I can do it. Okay.
Okay, all right, all right. Yeah, remember, if you're playing on your computer, so you have another window maybe, or you can play here on the Zoom. Remember that I'm showing this screen, and you can play it in your cell phone, yeah? So on the screen, you watch the question and the possibilities, and in your cell phone, you answer, no? You mark the answer, right? Okay, so notice
Okay.
here. Okay, so notice here, when someone is talking, unless we focus, remember, we don't really hear the message, just the sound, right? If you don't pay attention what the other people is talking, so you just hear, but you are not understanding, all right? So you just hear the message, just sounds, no combination of sounds, that's it, all right? Now, let's pass to the other one. Greece, now it's in the first place. Very good, very good. Let's pass to the other one. Listening is information that is being received by our, how do we receive the information? By listening. Ears and brain, all right? So you receive this information by your ears, and it's decodified, now it's decodified by your brain, all right? So this is listening, notice here. Let's continue with the other one. Juanca goes to the second place. What is another important element in listening or speaking? Okay, yes, the body language, no? It's important, all right? The body language, another element when you listen or speak. No? Let's pass to the other one. Johncito now it says first. Okay, very good, Johncito. What is simple image process of listening? Okay, so here you have this. Listening, processing, and reacting. No? So you listen, then you process the information, and it causes a reaction. No? So you react to this information. All right, this is the image process. Flavor now is third. Let's pass to the sixth question. What is a good way to improve listening skills? Yeah, all of the above. No, so all the activities that you have here are good, no, are good to improve our listening skills. No, the students' listening skills. When you listen and do something related to the activity, when you listen to podcast with activities, or listen to music and write down the words. So here you have different activities, no? Different ways that we could improve our listening skills, all right? Now, the other one. Aha, Carlos now is on the first place. Very good, Carlos. Question number 7. Is it right to do a listening preparation activity before actually listening? Yes, no, definitely. So we have to prepare, no, similar to what I'm doing now, no? I'm preparing you, no, to enter to the topic. In this case, you are going to prepare, no, a previous activity. That's what we call pre, no? Similar to the reading, pre-reading. So activities that we are going to use in order to activate the schemata, no? To establish a purpose of reading so the students know exactly. Something similar or equal happens to the listening skill, all right? So we are going to have, as I told you before, no? As I told you before, in all the skills, we're gonna have these 3 stages, pre, while, and post. In the pre, we are going to do some activities in order to prepare our students to develop the skill, the specific skill. No, could be listening, reading, writing, speaking. So we have to do that, right? So the answer is here, yes. No, we have to do a listening preparation activity before actually listening. That's it, very good. Let's pass to the, oh, Juanca now is first. The last question, can we learn new words by listening to music or a podcast, watching a video, or a movie? Yes, all right. So we can learn new words by listening to music, by listening to a podcast, by watching a video or a movie. We are going to learn new words. We're going to acquire new words, all right? Because you can see some expressions, no, that you use in a song, or some expressions that you watch in a film or a movie, no, and you can recognize it and you can use them, all right? So it's important to listen to music, to a podcast, watch a video, or a film or a movie, all right? So let's see who was the winner. Who's the winner? So on the third place, we have Carlos. Very good, Carlos. Second place, Johncito. Very good, Johncito. And the first place goes to Juanca. Very good, Juanca. So here you have these three people got the third three places, no? The third three places. So here you have, as I told you before, this is in order to activate your previous knowledge, no? What you know about a topic. So this happens in all the skills. Yeah? Remember, we have to do some activities in order to activate, no? To activate the schemata. So now we are going to start with this topic. I'm going to share it now. Okay, can you watch it, please? Tell me, can you watch it?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
All right, okay. So as I told you before, today we're going to start with another module, yeah, that is related to the listening skill. No, this is the macro skill, listening skill. And in this session, we are going to talk about some basic aspects of listening and the relationship of this skill with the language learning, no? So it's important to develop this skill when we learn or when we acquire a language, all right? So let's start with the first slide. So I'm gonna make you questions here and you have to tell me your answers, what you know, what's your opinion about it. So here, can you tell me why do we listen? Why are we motivated to listen? Can you tell me? You can write it on the chat. Yeah, you can write it on the chat. Why, here the title says, no? Why and how of listening motivation and mechanics. Why are we motivated listening? Can you tell me some ideas? No ideas?
To learn more, teacher.
Yeah, to learn more. Excellent, Juan Carlos. We need to communicate. It's one aspect of communication. Yeah. Any other?
Better.
To speak better. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe to know the native languages.
That's it. Very good. To know the basic of the language. Yeah. Oh, hey, Tanya says it breaks the ice. Okay. Yeah. When you listen to someone. All right. Any other one? Any other one?
To learn new vocabulary.
To learn new vocabulary. All right. So here you have some ideas. Now let's check it here. So we are going to continue with this. You know that the animals can listen, right? So for example, frogs, kangaroos, bats are able to listen for different purposes. What about human? So human listen for many reasons, right? There are many reasons why we are going to listen to somebody else. The basic purpose for us are information gathering and pleasure. Yeah, so here says, as you told me, not to learn new vocabulary, to communicate, no, we need to communicate. So here you have, okay, indeed it says to know how you pronounce, yeah, all right. So, but here you have two important reasons. Why do we listen? Now, why do we listen? One of them is to gather information. Gather means to collect, to obtain, all right? To obtain information, to gather information. And the other purpose or the other reason why we listen is for pleasure. For example, when you listen to a song, or when you watch a video, film, no? Or nowadays you can listen to some books too, no? Nowadays it's very common, these kind of books, no? The audio books. not just read the letters, you also have the possibility to listen to books. No? So here you have these basic purposes. Remember, these are the basic purposes in order to listen, because we are going to gather information, we're going to collect, obtain information, and also for pleasure, all right? And other reasons here we have, in addition to these basic purposes, hearing sounds can arouse the imagination and enrich lives for human. So you can imagine, no? Maybe when you listen to a book, to a novel, to a story, no, you can imagine when you were, for example, little kids, children, and you listen to your parents told you stories, tales, and you in your mind, you could imagine, no? You could imagine what your partner, what your parents talking. So here says, this is another purpose, no? It can arouse the imagination and enrich lives for human. So in order to do that, when we are going to listen, we are going to have a classification. So different aspects of listening, all right? Can you tell me some of them? How can we classify our listening? Do you have any idea? We have seen that we listen for pleasure, we listen for gathering information, we listen to activate our imagination.
For feeling.
Excuse me, I couldn't listen to you well.
For feeling.
Oh, there was a trouble, I think, on the audio. So how can we classify our listening? No.
I see it's for feeling.
Oh, I don't know what's happening with the audio. And nobody else? Nobody else? How can we classify our listening?
I don't sure, but I think is listening classified as short, long, or no?
Yeah.
Shortly.
Yeah, this is the duration. Yeah, the duration. But remember, we're talking about purposes.
Okay.
Purposes of listening. Yeah, Tanya says listening to music, listening to technical speeches, listening to slangs. Yeah, different types, no? All right, Aroma says listening for gist. Aha, that's it. Lourdes says when the receiver and transmitter interact looking for and giving information. Okay, this is an interaction. Then we're going to talk about, this is a type of listening, no? This is the reciprocal listening. Then we're going to talk about it. Okay, so some of you told me some ideas. Remember that we are talking about the purposes of listening. No? In general, we have that we are going to gather information. We're going to listen for pleasure. We're going to listen to activate, to encourage our imagination and so on. No? But here we're going to analyze these aspects. One of the aspects was said by Roma. Roma says listening for gist. So what would it be? Then we're going to analyze this, listening for gist. Another, the second one is listening for a specific information. This is the second aspect, the second reason that we listen, all right? Listening for gist, listening for a specific information, listening in detail. Then we have inferential listening. So do you have any idea about this? Listening for gist. What is listening for gist? No, nobody? Listening for gist.
Main information.
Yeah, all
Maybe.
right. Yes, yes, yes. The main information. When you listen for the main information, all right? Listening for a specific information, so the name says all, right? So you're going to listen just to gather some specific aspects of the information, no? Not the whole information, just some points about it, the complete information. This is the specific information. Listening in detail, so you're going to listen to gather all the possible information you can. Every detail, no? Every detail of the information. And inferential, so you're going to infer, no? You're going to deduce. So here we're going to talk about this deeply. Listening for gist. Remember, the first is listening for gist. Listening for gist refers to the occasion when we want to know the general idea, as your partner says, no? The main idea, the general idea of what is being said, as well as who is speaking to whom and why, and how successful they are in communicating their point. Remember, if we make a comparison with a reading, remember that in reading we talk about also some soft skills. No, we could say that these are the soft skills or micro skills, right? Listening for gist means that we're going to listen to know or to realize the general idea of what is being said. This is called listening for gist, all right? Listening for gist. So if we compare with a reading, so what we call this? Can you remember? When we read to get the general idea of the text? Can you remember? And let's go back to the previous skill because they have a relationship. Remember that these two skills are the receptive skills. So they are going to share some characteristics because both are receptive. We are going to receive information, right? Reading and listening, you receive information. What's the difference? That type of language, no? In the first one is the written, and in this second one is oral. But they are gonna share some characteristics. Yeah, so in order to make this feedback, remember, listening for Jesus to get a general idea of the information, right? Something similar happens to the reading. In the reading we have the, tell me please.
Skim.
Skimming. Skimming.
Yes,
Scanning.
excellent.
No, I
Skimming.
understood skimming.
Skimming. When you read, no, in order to get the general idea. So in the listening happens the same. When you listen to get the general idea, we call this listening for gist. Remember, listening for gist, okay? Now, what about the second? Let's pass to the second one. Listening for a specific information. So the name says all, no? As I told you, we are going to listen, and it refers to the occasions when we don't need to understand everything, but only a very specific part of the information, all right? Just some specific parts of the information. For example, while listening to a list of delayed trains, we're only interested in hearing news about one particular train, the one we want to catch. And so we listen selectively for this specific information. We ignore everything else. No, we ignore the other information. No, so we just capture what we want to know, what we want to get. All right. So this is listening for a specific information. Again, comparing with a reading, this is the other. What is the other?
Scanning.
Scanning. Yes, very good. Scanning. So notice they have similitudes. They share these characteristics. So we have different names, but the purpose is the same, right? Skimming and listening for gist is to get the general idea. The main idea of the information of the text could be written or oral. No? Listening for a specific information and scanning, what is the purpose? To get some specific parts, no? Some specific parts or points of the information received. Could be again written or oral, right? So this is just the difference, that type of language, could be written, could be oral. So listening for gist and listening for a specific information. Yeah, don't forget about it. Now let's continue with the other two. Listening in detail, this refers to the type of listening we do then, for example, when we need to find errors or determine differences between one passage and another. We cannot afford to ignore anything because, unlike listening to a list of delayed trains, we don't know exactly what information will help us to achieve our task. So notice here the difference. We're going to listen every detail of the information. And what is the purpose? Because we need to find maybe errors, mistakes, or determine differences between one passage to another passage. So we cannot ignore, we cannot ignore all the other information. This is the difference with the listening for a specific information. We just listen in some parts, what we want to know, what we want to get. That's it. The other, it's not important. But here, no, we have to listen everything, all right? Everything in detail in order to make the correction of something or make a comparison or contrast or differentiate some information with another one, all right? So this is listening in detail. It's similar to the reading, no? We have also reading for detailed information, no? And the other one is the inferential listening. So this refers to the type of listening we do when we wish to know how the speaker feels. It may involve inferring, no? So we're going to deduce, we're going to infer what's the author, no? What's the speaker's purpose, right? Or intention. So here you have these four, if you want to say, some soft skills, no, micro skills, or some purposes or reasons when we listen to somebody else, all right? So don't forget about these four, yeah? Listening for gist, listening for a specific information, listening in detail, and inferential listening, okay? So we have these four as general soft skills, all right? Now, we have here to analyze, as I told you, when we talk about reading, we use the written English, not the written language. Now in listening, we have the spoken or oral language. So can you give me some ideas of characteristics of a spoken language? What would be the difference with the written language? What's the difference? The written language and the spoken language.
Writing is more formal.
Yeah, the written language is more formal. Yes. And what about the spoken?
It is more informal. It has slangs and things that people know when they use in spoken language.
Okay, yes, you're right. No? So we use a colloquial language, all right? Any other characteristic of a spoken language? No.
Intonation,
The intonation, yeah, all right.
stress,
What else?
stress
Teacher, variation in speed, it's more generally faster than writing.
Yes, you're right. The variation of speed. Excellent, very good. Anybody else? Anybody else?
body language,
The body
teacher,
language. The body language.
stress,
Distress, excellent. Give me more ideas. What
The
characteristic?
intonation,
The intonation,
The feeling.
The feeling, yes.
Rhythm.
The rhythm, the rhythm. Any other one?
Loudness.
Loudness, all right, loudness. Okay, so you gave me some characteristics of a spoken language. So let's gonna check. Here we are going to analyze some characteristics of a spoken language. Notice, because of the new recent trend of text messaging and chat rooms, remember that nowadays the written language has changed completely, right? So writing now has become today some of the future of speaking. What are the futures of speaking or the spoken language? You told me some of them. Informality. As your partner says, no, the written language is more formal than the spoken language. But nowadays it has changed a lot, right? Through the chat rooms and the text messaging. So you're breaking this formality of writing and you're using some colloquial structures too when you write. So, but this is one of the characteristics, notice, in the spoken language, informality. The other, lack of attention to punctuation. Transience, being temporary. The spoken language is temporary. Then the real-time interaction, as one of your partners says, no, Lourdes, I think wrote about it, no, when the receiver and transmitter interact, looking for and giving information. So this is a real-time interaction, no? But don't forget, it doesn't mean that when you read something, there is no interaction, no? Yes, there is an interaction, remember, no? What we know with the message, with information that you find in the text. So this is an interaction. But here you have a real-time interaction, no? Face to face. Yes, indeed, we use a lot of contractions, no? A lot of contractions. Okay, notice these basic characteristics of a spoken language. Informality, lack of attention to punctuation, transience, or it means being temporary, real-time interaction. But here we have others, even though both listening and reading are receptive skills, there are some significant difference between them. As I told you before, when you read something, you read a written text, not a written language. But when you listen, you receive the spoken language, all right? So this is some differences between two skills. One of these is reading takes place over a space, while listening takes place over time. So what does it mean? That when you read something, you have here this reading on a paper, no? It is printed, you can see the graphemes or letters, so it takes place over a space. But listen takes place over time. So that's why we say that this is transience, because it's temporary, right? For example, when I'm speaking to you, you're listening to me, it's gonna last for almost 2 hours, but then, no, right? It disappears. Nowadays, we have other ways to record this, not by using the video, no? This lesson is being recorded, but this speaking, this interaction that we have here, that I'm speaking and you're listening, it just have some time, no? It lasts some time. So that's why we say this is temporary. Now, then oral data has no recorded and invisible ink. So you don't have something, no? You don't have something that you can watch. This data is based on a spontaneous, remember, on a spontaneous performance and disappears so soon, all right? So it's most of the time it's spontaneous. Now, what is the difference with this kind of a speech? For example, this speech is not so spontaneous, right? Because it is prepared, no? So some kind of speaking is prepared, no? When you give speeches, when you give lessons or lectures, you prepare and then you speak and then maybe you expand, no? That's what I'm doing now, no? Because I have some guides and I'm going to expand according my own knowledge, my own background information and so on, right? So, but most of the time when you listen to somebody else, the other person speaks and it's spontaneous, right? It's not prepared. When you find a person, no, maybe your best friend on the street, so you don't say, ah, yeah, today I'm going to talk about my friend, these expressions, and then I'm going to say this to my friend. No, right? You just talk and the other person listens. So that's why we say that this is spontaneous performance, and it disappears so soon. The other, as listening takes place over time, not space, the gaps between words are not seen. When you read a text, so you have some orthographic spaces, no? One word, then the space, another space, another word, then another space, and so on, right? But when you speak, you don't have these spaces, right? You speak continuously, fluently. So there is no spaces, no gaps is spaces, no gaps between words. You cannot watch it, you cannot see them, all right? So this is another difference between this spoken language with the written language. It takes place over time, not a space. Here you have another differences. And this is related to what we talked about in phonology, no? So now we are going to remember something about phonology and phonetics. Elision. When we speak, no, in the oral language, in the spoken language, we are going to produce sounds, remember? Yeah? But there are some cases that we are going to omit. We are going to omit these sounds, usually at the beginning or end of a word, in order to make pronunciation of the utterance easier for the speaker. So we call this is a phonological process or features of connected speech, yeah? We call this elision, when we omit sounds, remember, when the sounds are omitted, okay? So don't forget about it. When the sounds are omitted. Remember, this is elision, yeah? When the sounds are omitted. You omit them at the beginning or at the end of the sound. No, why? What is the purpose? To make the utterance easier, not to be so complicated to pronounce, all right? When we join sounds, remember when we speak, and this is one of the reasons when we listen to a native speaker, no? Something happens, no? Sometimes it's so complicated to understand a native speaker. Oh, you think, oh no, this is too fast, too quickly. No, I couldn't understand so well. So why it's too fast or so quickly? Because they are going to do some processes. And one of these is the elision. They take out sounds, they omit sounds in order to make easier the pronunciation of some consonant sounds. Here the purpose is to make a fluency, to get fluency on your speech. Here, for example, we have, notice this, and notice this sentence, this simple sentence. She sat next to a wall. So what do you do here? Can you tell me? What happened with next to? Next to. What do you do? She sat next to a wall. What can you do here? Yeah, Mauri? Not exactly.
Join the two words?
Yeah, you join the two words, but you do something else. Notice here.
Connect.
Yeah, so notice here, notice what happens. So what are we going to do? Oh, sorry. So what are we going to do? The t sound, remember, the t sound is produced twice, right? Next finishes in the sound ta. And two starts with the sound ta, 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 twice. So what do? They omit one ta. They just produce one sound, ta. Next, next. Notice they are eliding.
Elision.
Yes, elision. So they are omitting the pronunciation of one sound. Okay?
Elision.
Yes. Oh, please, your microphones, your microphones. Okay, thank you, thank you. All right, so here you have noticed that we call this elision. So when we speak, we are going to connect words, as you told me. We're going to connect words. And in order to connect words, and in order to make it easier, the pronunciation of some words, you're going to start omitting sounds. And we call this elision, remember? And specifically, this process is elision, but it is more specifically called gemination. Yeah, remember that. I'm going to write it here. Yeah, this process is called gemination. Okay, this is the name of the process, gemination. When you have two consonants, they are the same. So what do? You pronounce just one, a little longer, a bit longer, all right? In order to connect the two words. Ta, ta, one ta. This is elision because you are omitting one sound, but at the same time, this is called gemination because the two sounds are the same, right? Ta, ta are the same. So you just produce just one, okay? So don't forget about this. This is one of the differences, notice, with the spoken and written language. In the written language, we cannot do that, right? We cannot omit letters or words, right? So, but when we speak, we can do it. Another one, let's pass to the other one. Another difference is, another process is assimilation. Can you remember what is it? Here, assimilation is when you change sounds, yeah? When you alter sounds. So when you speak, you are going to change sounds. You are going to alter sounds. So it takes place when the first of a series of sounds changes to accommodate subsequent sounds, all right? So this is assimilation. For example, tone is a heartbreaker. Notice I'm pronouncing this slowly. Heartbreaker. Ta, ba. Notice, ta, ba. So what are you gonna do? What happened? Now how you are going to pronounce it? Can you pronounce it?
Yeah. Change the T for P.
Heartbreaker.
Yes, notice we're changing the sound ta to the sound pa. So now you say heartbreaker, hop, hop, hop. Now, notice that here is not a strong pa, it's a soft pa, yeah? Heartbreaker, why? Why did you do that? Because the next sound, notice ta, the next sounds after ta is the sound ba. So we have here different places of articulation, right? Ta is alveolar. This is phonetics. In order to remember phonetics, ta is alveolar and ba is bilabial. So you change it. Oh yeah, alveolar, the tongue moves to the front, and the other is bilabial, you use your lips. So you're not going to make it easier. It's a little complicated to pronounce these two sounds. So you change the previous sound, right? You change the previous. So you change from alveolar to bilabial. Pa is bilabial. Ba, bilabial. Bilabial, bilabial. So they have a similitude. That's why you say assimilation. You assimilate one sound to another. You are changing one sound to make one sound similar to another one. So this is called assimilation. So when we speak, notice, when we produce the spoken language, we are going to change sounds. Notice, we are going to omit, we're going to change. Yeah, this is called assimilation. Yeah, this is called assimilation. Can you remember what type of assimilation is this? Remember, try to remember when we talk about phonology. we saw 3 different kinds of assimilation. Can you remember? What kind of assimilation is this? Notice here, I'm going to write here, that notice here that we are going to change a previous sound, right? We're going to change a previous sound. So notice that the sound which is mandatory, yeah, the sound which is mandatory is the sound ba, all right? The sound ba makes the sound pa or the sound ta changed, right? So we call this assimilation regressive assimilation. Remember, this is a regressive assimilation, all right? So the sound ba, here you have the sound ba, makes the sound ta change, all right? So the sound ta becomes the sound pa. Oh, who is writing, please? Who is writing? Luis, please be careful. So the sound ta becomes the sound pa. So you are changing, notice bilabial, bilabial. So this is a regressive assimilation, okay? So don't forget. So when we speak, remember this is the spoken language. So we are analyzing the differences between or some characteristics of the spoken language in contrast to the written language, all right? So when we have this, we are going to have these processes, okay? The ta sound is in heart changes to either a glottal stop or a pa in this context, no? So you can change it also with a glottal, no? Ha, 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 ha. This is the glottal stop, yeah? All right, let's see the other one. The other process that we usually do when we speak is the intrusion. When a sound is added in order to allow the speaker to link up the 2 words more easily. All right, so we're going to insert, we're going to add 1 extra sound in order to join, notice here, in order to join 2 sounds. More specifically, when we join vowel sounds. This is to join specifically vowel sounds. So notice here, he doesn't have an original idea in his head. He doesn't have an original idea in his head. Notice here what's happening. Notice here what's happening. Idea, I'm going to pronounce this separated. Idea, in. Idea, in. So when you join these 2 words, you're going to insert the consonant but it's a soft yeah? It's not a strong So I didn't his head. I didn't his head. And notice you're inserting 1 extra sound, yeah, 1 extra sound to join these 2 vowel sounds. Yeah? So we have other consonants that we use to join vowel sounds. Can you remember which are they? Apart from sound?
It's a show. It's a show. Show.
Yeah, all right. What other sounds do we use? Try to remember, What other sounds do we use to connect 2 vowel sounds? Remember, we're joining. When we speak, remember, when we speak, we are going to join words. That's why we don't have spaces. We don't have gaps, no? This is the difference with the written test. We have spaces between words, no? Gaps between words. But when we speak, we don't have spaces because we're going to join words. And here we have this aspect, these processes, no? The first one is elision, the second one assimilation, the third one intrusion. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna write it here. I'm gonna write it here. The other 2 sounds, remember. So when we are going to connect 2 vowel sounds, we have the sound ya and the sound wo. And remember, we use these 3 sounds to connect vowel sounds. Yeah, we are going to connect vowel sounds with these consonants. For example, the R, you know it, no? Ideating. For example, have you heard this series? This is a TV series, Law and Order. Have you heard about it? Have you watched Law and Order? It's about crime, investigation. Yes, no, but when you say these three words together, you say law and order. Lauren, law and order. Notice you are inserting the sound, Lauren. You don't say Loan, law and order. Notice you are inserting. Now, when do you insert the sound yeah? When you have this, for example, I agree. I agree. No, this is separated. Together, I agree. I agree. I agree. Notice you are inserting the sound ya to connect the sound I and the sound no, the shaw. I, aya, aya. You don't say I agree. You don't say that, right? I agree. No, this is separated. You connect. You say I agree. I agree. And the other is the sound wa. So when do you use the sound wa? When the first word finishes in the sound u. For example, I want to eat, to eat, to eat. Notice, I want to eat is separated. I want to eat. Now together, I want to eat. I want to eat. I want to eat. Notice you're inserting the what. It's a soft what. Yeah. So notice what do we do in the spoken language? No, this is the difference with the written language. So when we listen, notice we have to be careful because we have to understand these kind of processes, right? When you elide sounds, when you change sounds, when you insert sounds, and sometimes it makes our listening complicated, no? In order to comprehend this, it's a little complicated. It's a bit complicated because we are not used to doing that, right? So it's important to know about it, okay? So let's continue with the other ones. Oh. Yeah, okay. So as I told you, here an intrusive is actually between idea and in, no? So you insert the sound, it's a soft, remember, soft yeah, it's not a strong. You don't say idea ring, no. You don't say idea ring. You say idea ring. It's a soft yeah? Okay, now let's pass to the other. Let's continue talking about the differences, the characteristics of the spoken language. Why we are talking about the spoken language? Because this is the language that we are going to listen, that we are going to receive, all right? That's why we're talking about it. Another important feature is that formulaic phrases are often chuck. Chuck means that to put together, no? Put together, which means that phrases are said rapidly as if they are one word. For example, how do you pronounce this? Know what I mean, right? Know what I mean. This is the slow pronunciation, no? The normal pronunciation. Know what I mean. Now, when you speak, notice that you are going to join. You're going to say the words rapidly, fast. It could be that you are saying just one word and you say, know what I mean. Know what I mean. Notice here, know what I mean. Notice that you connect and you say these four words as one. All right? Know what I mean? Notice the sound ta is changed. All right? The sound ta is changed to the flapping, to flap ta. No, and you say ra, ra, ra. Notice, know what I mean. So notice that you're going to put all the words together, all right? Put all the words together. So this is the formula phrases are often put together, okay? So this is another characteristic, yeah, remember, this is another characteristic of the spoken language. And some other sound system and phonological concern are also to be noticed. As you told me, the stress, intonation, tone, voice volume, the speed, the rhythm, the tempo. So here you have a lot of characteristics or phonological concerns in order to notice in the spoken language. No, you don't have this on the written language. You have this in the spoken language. So let's pass to another question, another concern. Why listening is difficult? So I told you some of them. Why? Can you tell me why? Because some students says, no, teacher, this for me, listening is so complicated. They speak too fast. I can't understand. So why do you think students or maybe some people consider listening difficult?
Because they pronounce different than the writing and they join words. They don't
Excellent.
they
Uh-huh.
don't pronounce many words when they speak too. They don't use the auxiliaries. They they commit many things or speak different.
All right, you told them something right. Yes, you're right. So,
Teacher. And
yes,
some
tell me.
students speak so slow, and the native speakers talk faster.
Okay, yes, this is what I told you again. Yes, you're right. No, sometimes some people speak slow, but usually native speakers speak so fast. They speak fast. Okay, yeah, any other idea? Aha, Indira says, different accents and slangs or idiomatics. No, idioms. Yes, you're right, Indira. Excellent. Different accents. Okay, you have here in English, British, American, Canadian, Jamaican, Australian. So you have a lot of accents, no? Similar to our language, no? We speak Spanish, but if we go to Chile, it's another kind of intonation, another kind of stress. If we go to Colombia, if we go to Venezuela, so we have different accents. The same happens with English, no? So we have different accents. Excellent. So here we're going to analyze some aspects why listening is considered difficult. So all in all, we may be able to conclude that listening is a more difficult task than reading. And the difficulties can be, notice here the difficulties, characteristics of the message, the delivery, the listener, and environment. So here we have these difficulties, and we are going to analyze all of them. The characteristic of the message, delivery, the listener, and environment. Let's start with the first one. Characteristics of the message. What does it mean when we talk about the characteristic of the message? Words or phrases spoken out can be confusing. When they speak, when somebody speaks, when we connect words, sometimes we could not recognize easily words, right? Because they are joining words. So sometimes it could be confusing. Also, as one of your partners says, remember that in English, we write in one way and we pronounce in another way. And some spellings, some letters have different sounds. For example, this sentence, notice this sentence, it's commonly, you can find commonly here the letters O-U-G-H, no? O-U-G-H. But this O-U-G-H has different sounds. Mr. Clough from Slop bought enough dog. Notice that you're changing the pronunciation. They have the same letters, O-U-G-H, 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 but you pronounce differently. Clough, slop, bought, enough, dog, Notice that you change the vowels and sometimes it's difficult to recognize. Oh, well, what did he say? Slop, bought, enough, dog, what's that? So it's a little complicated, right? The other, there are of course slips of the ear. So it means simple mishearing, no? When we hear a word, but it was another. No? It happens also in our language, no? So instead of murders and executions, so you say mergers and acquisitions. So here you have some mishearing. No, this is a mishearing or slips of the ear. No, so we could hear one word, but it was another one, right? Linguistic difficulties such as unknown words. No, it happens a lot to students. No? Oh no, I don't understand. No, I don't know this word. What is it? You don't know. So this is the linguistic difficulties, no? With unknown words. Lexical density, it refers to the quantity of words. How many words they can listen together, all right? Complex grammatical structure, when the speaker uses this complex grammatical structure, you know, for example, if I say, I shouldn't have done. Could you tell me what is this structure? I'm going to repeat again. I shouldn't have done. Can you recognize what I'm saying?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah, can you
Like
write
you
it?
want.
Or can you
Okay.
separate the words because I contract, no?
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's waiting, just a minute. Okay, yeah, can you recognize it? I shouldn't have done.
I should up done.
Have.
At done. At done.
Yeah, all
not.
right. Shouldn't have done. Listen again. Shouldn't have done.
Okay. I
Have
should
done.
on. Yeah.
I should not have done.
I should not
Have
done. Yes. So the structure that I'm using here, I'm going to write it on the chat. Yeah. I should not have done. This is the structure. Yeah, the complete structure. But when I say this, I shouldn't have. Notice that I'm making a double contraction. I'm saying like this. I'm going to write it again. Yeah, I want to write it here. Yeah, I'm going to write it here. So the first is, the expression is, I should, oh, my keywords, terrible. I should not have done. Notice this is the complete. Now, when I say this, I could say like this. I shouldn't have done. Notice, can you watch it? Yes, can you watch it?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so notice how we change from written language to a spoken language, no? So maybe the student, the person who listens, doesn't know about these structures or how we contract these auxiliaries, no? For example, here, I'm contracting twice. It's a double contraction. Remember, this is called a double contraction. And we usually use with the negative and the perfect form, no? Do you know what is the name of this structure? What is the name of this structure? Anybody knows? What is the name of this structure? No, nobody? So we have should. Here, instead of should, you could use could, must, might, and it's followed by a?
Modals.
This is a modal.
Auxiliaries,
Present
modals.
perfect.
Yeah, modal perfect. Yeah, this is the name of the structure. Modal perfect, because we have a modal and it's followed by a present perfect structure, right? Have done, have watched, have slept. Notice this is a present perfect structure, but before you have a modal. So the name of this is a modal perfect. Remember, yeah, this is a modal perfect. I'm going to write it here. This is a modal perfect, okay? And when we make the negative structure of the modal perfects, we are going to make a double contraction when we speak. Don't do it when you write. Yeah, that's why we say that writing or written language is more formal. In spoken language, it's more informal, right? Because we can make contractions, join words, take out sounds. Notice when we make contractions, we're eliding sounds. We're taking out sounds. We don't pronounce sounds. So you are making a elision. Okay, shouldn't tough. Remember, shouldn't tough, couldn't tough. This is the structure, the negative modal perfect, okay? Negative modal perfect. That's why he says that sometimes when the students or some people listen to this kind of language, it's gonna be complicated, right? Oh, what? Shouldn't, what is shouldn't? Oh no, I don't know. No, it's the first time you're hearing, maybe you haven't seen this structure before. That's why he says unknown words or lexical density. Notice 5 words, no? 5 words, just 3. You join 3 words in one. Shouldn't have, shouldn't have, should not have, shouldn't have. So notice this is a lexical density. So you're joining words 3, 4, 5, 6 words together, no? So the quantity of words, this is the lexical density. So if they have long sentences or long speech with a lot of words, that's why it's one of the difficulties that the students have, all right? Okay, let's pass to the other one. Oh, sorry. Okay. Also, there are non-linguistic, notice, non-linguistic characteristics of the message include familiarity of the topic, test type, cultural accessibility. So these are the non-linguistic characteristics of the message. Remember, we're talking about the characteristics of the message, all right? Why is difficult? Why is difficult to understand what you listen, to comprehend what you listen? One of them is the characteristic of the message. We have seen some linguistic difficulties, and here you have non-linguistic characteristics, the familiarity, what he knows, what the listener knows about a topic. If the topic of the listening is not common, is not known by the speaker, so it's gonna be complicated that he could understand. The test type, for example, have you ever heard the news in English or the weather forecast in English?
Yes, teacher.
If you have heard this, so they speak too fast, right? It's not like a normal person speaks. They speak and that's it. So that type, notice here, that type of test also makes difficult the understanding of what we listen. And the cultural accessibility is the kind of information that you could receive, according to your society or the place that you have, you were born, right? So this is the other aspect, okay? So notice here, we have the non-linguistic characteristics. Please be careful with the board. Somebody's writing. Yeah, please, don't be curious with the board. Oh, anybody else? 8925587, please. Don't write on the board. Okay, so here, let me check here. Yeah, it's not here. I'm going to deactivate this. Just a minute. Just a minute. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's it, that's better. I think that's better. So they didn't deactivate this visibility. Now, here we are going to continue. Let's pass to the second aspect of difficulty, the characteristics of the delivery, how you send the message. Mode of delivery is vital factor. Here we will focus on reciprocal and non-reciprocal listening. Do you have any idea what is reciprocal and non-reciprocal listening? Reciprocal and non-reciprocal listening. Do you have an idea? One of you told me this, and I told you that we're...
Reciprocal is between two or more persons.
Excellent.
No reciprocal is just I want to speak only, or
yes, you're right. Yeah, okay. Any other idea? Reciprocal and non-reciprocal listening.
Reciprocal is when two people are talking.
So both, no? Both people speak and listen at the same time, right? Okay, so we're going to analyze this. Remember, reciprocal listening involves interaction. One of your partners says, I think it was Lourdes, I think so. Interaction between two or more than two people, which means that there is a conversation, all right? So this is the reciprocal listening. You listen and speak and answer, and the other person the same. The person speaks and then listen. So this is a reciprocal listening. Remember, reciprocal listening involves interaction, two or more than two people, okay? So here you use some strategies, no? Speakers can react or ask to slow down, so you can use any other strategies. Oh, could you repeat again, please? I couldn't hear you well. Oh, yes, you're right. That's awesome. Oh, no, I can't believe it. Yes, I agree with you. So notice you react what the other person speaks, and also you can ask the person to make it slower. No, please, I can understand you. Can you speak a little slow, please? Not so fast. And notice that you could do that. All right, this is the reciprocal listening. Now, while for non-reciprocal listening, the listeners has no opportunities to do that, as they are in a situation which they can only listen, such as watching TV, listening to radio, and so on. Notice here, this is the non-reciprocal listening. You just listen, no more. There's no interaction. You don't answer, you don't ask, right? You just listen. When you watch TV, when you listen to radio, and so on. No? Maybe in some lectures too, no? Sometimes when I speak, no, I speak, and then you don't have opportunity to participate. So this is a non-reciprocal listening. But when I ask you for your ideas, for your opinions, so it becomes a kind of reciprocal listening. It's not exactly a reciprocal, a kind of reciprocal listening, because we are interacting. No, if you just listen and listen and listen to me, this is the non-reciprocal listening. But when you give some ideas, maybe you can ask. No, so this is a kind of reciprocal listening. No, the reciprocal listening is more exactly a conversation, no, a dialogue. All right. Okay, so don't forget about this. This is the the delivery. Remember the characteristics of the delivery. In these circumstances, the listeners cannot control over the input, which means that they cannot react directly to the speakers. No? So you cannot control the input. You just listen. Oh no, I don't understand so well, but you just listen. You can do anything. You cannot say to the speaker, please stop. Can you repeat that? No, you cannot do that, right? So you cannot react directly to the speakers. There are actually more characteristics of delivery, such as organization, when the speakers rumble on or change the topics, the duration, if it is long or short, number of speakers, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, sometimes when 2, 3 or more people are speaking, so you don't know exactly who you're going to listen to, no? And the message is not so clear. And also what you say, the accent. The accent. British, American, Australian, Canadian, Jamaican. You know, for example, I hear some Jamaican people talking in English, and I found it difficult. Let me tell you that I found it difficult to understand a Jamaican person speaking in English. So they have another accent, another intonation. I think the most near accent to British American is the Australian, but the Jamaican, wow, is so complicated, all right? I recommend you to listen to Jamaican accent, and you're gonna see it funny and at the same time kind of stressful because it's not so clear, right? Okay, so notice these characteristics of the delivery, right? That makes difficult the understanding, the comprehension of what we listen. The organization, when you change topics, no, you're talking on one topic and then you change it to another topic and then you can change it to another one. So sometimes you get in trouble, right? The duration, when you listen for a long time, no, too much information. Sometimes you could say about this class too, no? Because you have too much information in just one class. Number of speakers, when you have a lot of people talking to you, oh, it's so complicated. And the accent, no? The accent of the language. The other one is the characteristics of the listener. Here is related more to students. No, students can have some difficulties such as lack of concentration and motivation. Yeah, so they are not concentrated, they are not focused because they are not motivated maybe. Different styles of learning. Some students doesn't want to listen because this is not the way that they learn a language. Maybe they are more visual or maybe they like more images, no, and so on, no? The age, teenagers, adults, or older people. So you have some difficulties, or little kids. So according to the age, they can have some difficulties to understand the spoken language, and also the emotions and feelings. No, when you're anxious, maybe when you're nervous, no, you're excited. So you can not understand, you cannot understand so well what you listen, all right? So this is the
Teacher.
characteristics. Yeah?
Teacher,
Yeah, tell me.
are the slangs considered in any way in this case?
The slangs, this is part of the other one, no? No, here on the listener. Yeah, but here, yes, is the slangs is part of the difficulty because it's a part of the language, no?
Yeah.
This is related more to the first part, no? When we talk about the grammatical structure or unknown words, no? Or unknown expressions, yeah? Yes, this is right, this is right.
Okay, teacher. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, don't worry, don't worry. So here you have this. Now, the other one is the characteristics of the environment. So environmental conditions, temperature, background noise, defective equipment, and so on may affect the listening performance. Another major problem which is not usually listed is the role of memory of the listeners. No, some people could listen or could retain more information, no? Could be a lot of information for a long time, but other kind of people could retain just some information and not for a long time, maybe for a short time. No? So it's important, these characteristics too, no? The memory, the listener's memory. While words are being processed, others are coming. No? So you listen and listen, maybe you are processing this word, this message, and then appears another one and another one and another one. So everything is quick, it's fast. So the mind is being flooded with words. No? This is one of the problems when you listen to somebody. So how can we help listeners to avoid being overloaded? One technique that helps reduce the memory load is the process of activating listeners' prior knowledge. This is what we talked a lot the last sessions, no? And what we did at the beginning of the class to activate listeners' prior knowledge in order to make, no, in order to make our students' memory increases. They can receive or retain information for a long time, no? To activate listeners' prior knowledge. And this process, and this process is also called activating schemata. So we have talked about a lot this topic in the previous module, no? When we talk about the reading skill, to activate schemata. This is very, very important, all right? This will get listeners into the topic and help them develop their expectations of the input, which is a very crucial factor for them to be able to predict the content. No? So this is what we talked about. No? So we're going to develop the expectations about the input, the topic, the information that they are going to receive. And with this, they can predict, they can guess about the content. Now, here, can you remember about these two words, bottom up and top down? Can you remember about it? Bottom up and top down. We talked about this on reading too. Bottom up and top down.
Yes, teacher.
Can you remember? Tell me, please, what's the difference between bottom up and top down? We're going to use this also to listen, not just for reading, to listen. Bottom up and top down.
Bottom up
Yeah.
is when we use textual features to comprehend what the text says.
Uh-huh. Yes, excellent. And the top down?
Is when reader use what he or she knows to compare with the right information.
Excellent, very good, excellent. So bottom up, remember, we're going to analyze the vocabulary, grammar, no? Some specific aspects of the language to understand the text, no? The information, the content. And the top down, we use our prior knowledge, know what we know about the topic, about the information that we are going to receive. Okay, so here you have this sentence, 7 puppy dogs run to the girl. So here you have the narrator, but imagine that we don't have this sentence. I just said, so 7 puppy dogs ran to the girl. What happened if I ask you, how many dogs? What would be the answer? 7 puppy dogs ran to the girl. How many dogs?
7.
7, excellent. And how did was the girl in danger? Was the girl in danger? What would be the answer? Was the girl in danger? I'm going to write it here, yeah? How many dogs? You tell me 7. But the other question, was the girl in danger?
We don't know, unless the dogs belong to the girl, she wasn't in any danger.
Okay, yeah, all right, all right. What else? Any other idea?
Because 7 puppy dogs are running.
Yep.
They were puppy dogs.
Uh-huh,
So small, she was not in danger.
Uh-huh, yeah, all right. Notice how the answer changed, all right? How the answer changed. The first one, the answer was immediately, oh, 7, teacher. Okay, yeah, 7, yes, 7 puppy dogs. Huh? But the other one, notice, was the girl in danger? Some of you says, oh, well, we don't know it exactly. Oh, yes, because 7 dogs, 7 dogs. But the others say, oh, no, puppy dogs. Oh, puppy dogs, very small dogs. No, I don't think it could be a danger. So notice, what did the student use to answer these two questions?
Was.
What do we use to answer these two questions? How many dogs do we use to answer this question? Remember that you listen to these sentences. I wrote it here because in order to get it clear, but imagine that you don't have the written test. You just listen. 7 puppy dogs ran to the girl. All right, how many dogs? Yeah, 7. Was the girl in danger? Well, we don't know. No, because they are puppies. Oh, maybe yes, because they are 7. All right. Or maybe no, because it depends if they belong to the girl or no. So notice that you were right. The answers were right in the second question, but in the first one was just answered 7. So what process do we use? What approach do we use to answer these two questions? How many dogs? In order to answer this question, how many dogs, according to what you listen, you use here the bottom up. Why did you use the bottom up? Because you analyze, 7, yeah, 7, the number. It's asking about the number. Notice you are analyzing the sentence, the vocabulary. Yeah, how many? Yeah, the number. Yeah, the number 7. Yeah, 7. But what about the other? This is the bottom up because you analyzed the language, right? The vocabulary, the structure, right? This is the bottom up. Was the girl in danger? Oh, teacher, but it doesn't say here, right? What I heard, 7 puppy dogs, you don't have the answer exactly. But how can you answer? Because of your knowledge. Oh, puppy. Yeah, puppy, it refers to, no? Small dogs. So we know that puppies are related to small dogs. So here you're using the top down. That's why it varies, because according to your own idea, your own concept, it depends. Oh, teacher, we don't know it exactly. Oh, it depends if it belongs or not to the girl. Oh yeah, puppy. Yeah, yes, I know the puppy is small, very small dogs. So I think it's not dangerous. So notice you're using the top down. Here, in order to answer this, you're using the top-down approach. So notice here these two approaches of process. So while listening can be very difficult, researchers have 2 listening models to introduce, bottom-up and top-down. The bottom-up model focuses on the meanings of each small pieces of the language in the test. Remember, bottom-up model focuses on the meanings of each small pieces of the language in the test. While the top-down model is to do with the use of the background knowledge to predict. You are deducing, you are inferring, to predict the content. So these are the 2 models, similar to the reading, right? We talked about this in the reading skill, no? The bottom-up and top-down models of reading. The same happens in the listening skill, no? We're going to use these 2 kind of models of listening. So the top-down model is at least in part based on the listeners. Much of the comprehension relies on what happens in mind, even before the listening has begun, because it's the background knowledge. Whereas the bottom approach depends more on the sounds. If you understand clearly, right? If you understand clearly each word, maybe you couldn't hear so well the number, and I ask you how many dogs? Oh, teacher, I don't know because I couldn't hear so well the number, right? So it depends on the sounds that you hear, right? There has been much debate recently about which models, no? It is revealed that most errors caused by mishearing of the individual words, which is a failure of the bottom-up approach. Notice, this is one of the complaints that you can make if you use the bottom-up approach, because you have to hear exactly what each word is said, the individual words. So, and it causes mishearings. But some research, on the other hand, hints that it is the top-down approach which causes the mistakes in the listening test. So there is a debate, no? In this, it says the students know the topic and hear some familiar words. Then they make wild guesses about the content. So it happens to you, no? Oh, 7 dogs, but you didn't notice puppy. 7 dogs, oh no, it's a huge quantity. Yes, the girl is in danger, all right? But you couldn't hear so well the word puppy, all right? Oh, puppy, small, yeah, very small ducks. Notice here what happens. However, it is still a matter of ongoing research. And so there is a debate, which is the approach which causes a lot of mistakes. But we are sure is that we use both models when we listen, remember? And this is called the interactive model, a combination of the two. This is similar to the reading again, no? The interactive model. We are going to combine the bottom-up and top-down models of listening in order to understand the information received, okay? So here you have this information. So today we have analyzed, notice that we have analyzed some basic aspects of listening. No? Why do we listen? The purpose of listening, the reason. We talked about some micro skill or sub skills, listening for gist, listening for specific information, listening in detail, inferring listening. Notice that we talked about these sub skills or micro skills. Then we talked about the characteristics of a spoken language, no? The difference with the written language, and why is difficult to understand what we listen. And we finished talking about these two important models of listening, no? The top-down and the bottom-up models of listening, all right? So the next session, we are going to analyze, we are going to analyze the skills deeper, the skills and sub-skills, and also some strategies that we are going to use in order to develop a listening lesson, okay? As I told you, we are going to share some characteristics or some aspects with a reading skill, yeah? So we are going to reinforce, but some aspects are different too because we have different language, no? The first one is the written language, and the second one, the listening, is related to the spoken language, okay? So it was a pleasure to listen to you again, to see some of you too, yeah? Because we have just 1 week off, no? So we take a rest of 1 week. So the next class, we are going to continue talking about the listening skill, all right? The listening skill, okay? Well, that time is getting over. That was a pleasure again. That's all for today. So see you next class, yeah? Try to be on time, please. Try to be on time to get from the beginning of the class. We are going to develop some activities to at the beginning of the class, yeah? So take care a lot, yeah? Take care a lot and see you next class. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank you,
teacher.
teacher. See you next class.
Thank
Thank you,
See you,
teacher.
take
Goodbye.
care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, teacher.
Goodbye,
Bye.
teacher.
Thanks, teacher.
Bye-bye.
See you next class.
Teacher, please.